Can you train your brain to not want to eat food? Is it possible for people to fast? Now, the answer is obviously yes. People fast all the time. And in fact, at the time of shooting this video in India, the festival of Navratri is going on. So I know that a lot of people watching might be fasting even during this time. So for all of you fasting and for everyone interested in learning what happens in the brain during fasting, this video is for you. Watch the entire video because this is going to be a gold mine of information. I'm Dr. Sid Warrier, I'm a neurologist, and I have come as a guest to the BigBasket YouTube channel to talk about neuroscience and everything that can make your life healthy. Oh, and there is a giveaway question at the end of the video, so stay tuned to get a chance to win a BigBasket voucher. We've all had that experience where you come across a photo of your favorite food and you immediately get that impulse to want to eat that food because your brain is telling you, why are you waiting? Go satisfy your craving. But if you're fasting, you can't do that. You can't just give in to your impulse. You'll have to tell yourself no. You have to hold back. And that is the first benefit that fasting brings you. It teaches your brain to say no to impulses. And I believe this is one of the primary reasons why all religions across the world recommends fasting. Because fasting is a way of the brain gaining control of its primary or primitive impulses. And controlling primary emotion is a very useful skill to have. Now, before I deep dive into the neuroscience of fasting, let's look at when did this all start. Fasting began as a health practice all across the world. In India, in Egypt, in Greece. In India, it's called a vrata or a vow of abstinence from food. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, fasting is not only a part of worship, but also a great tool for building self-discipline and a healthy life. And different types of fasting practices are described. For example, there is Nirahara type of fasting, which is fasting without food or water, which means no fruits and no fluids of any kind. There is Falahara type of fasting, where fruits and milk are allowed, but no other kind of food. And there is Alpahara type of fasting, where broken rice and similar foods are allowed. And one interesting fact about fasting is that it was described independently in different religions, and it's not just in the Asian subcontinent. Even in ancient Egypt or Greece, fasting practices have been described as far back as 1800 BC. The Greek philosopher Pythagoras, yes, the same Pythagoras from your geometry textbook who lived in ancient Greece in 500 BC, used to advocate fasting for spiritual and health reasons. And the other philosophers like Plato and Aristotle also wrote about how fasting can help improve physical and mental clarity. But why were these ancient philosophers talking about fasting so much, and what does modern science have to say about it? Now, in the world of medicine, fasting has already been proven to be beneficial in treating diseases like epilepsy, where it is shown to reduce the number of seizures that someone can have. It is useful in Alzheimer's to help improve memory loss. It has been proven to be useful in multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune inflammatory condition affecting the brain, where it reduces the number of MS attacks, and even in Parkinson, where fasting has been associated with improvement in someone's walking and balance. So clearly there's a lot of positive research showing the benefits of fasting. But what about in everyday life? What about in mood disorders like anxiety and depression? Here also, early studies have shown largely positive results of fasting. But we still have a lot left to understand. How does fasting improve patients with anxiety and depression? Now, there are a few hypotheses that we are trying to figure out, and I'll share some of them with you. When we start fasting, over a period of 18 to 36 hours, our body stops using glucose as its main energy source and shifts to using fat. And this is when our body produces ketones. Now, our brain primarily relies on glucose, but when the shift happens, which is also called metabolic switch, during this shift, our brain starts relying on ketones instead to perform all its cognitive functions. And after this switch, researchers have noted increased mental clarity and better emotional regulation. But it is important to mention that more studies are required before we can conclusively say why does this happen. Studies have also found an increased level of alertness happening after fasting, which could be attributed to a change in the norepinephrine system. Now, coming to your mood or what you feel when you are fasting for a prolonged period of time, there was a study done on subjects fasting for 5 to 10 days, and the study showed how the endorphin levels in blood increased after fasting, which could explain why people have a better mood or feel more positive after a prolonged fast. And finally, studies have also shown that serotonin levels can increase and serotonin turnover increases during fasting. This could also contribute to the overall feeling of positivity and well-being that happens after a fast. Now, important to mention that if you are considering going on a fast and if you have a pre-existing health condition like diabetes or blood pressure, speak to your doctor before going on the fast, because fasting does affect glucose levels and it can potentially affect the medications that you are taking. Now, coming to the practical aspects of fasting, why do some people find it easier to fast while others struggle? Now, there are a few variables that affect this. A positive mindset and a strong motivation to fast will affect your ability to fast, especially if your motivation is attached to a specific goal. For example, are you fasting for weight loss? Are you fasting for a spiritual or religious reason? This makes a big difference. The second variable is community. And one of the reasons why fasting seems to be easier in a religious practice is because you are not doing it by yourself. There are millions of people around the world who are also fasting on the same day for the same purpose, which acts as a positive boost to you. And now let's come to the main challenge of fasting, which is how to deal with craving. Because let's face it, you might decide to fast, but when the time comes where your mind and your body are craving food, it is difficult to hold back. So here I have some positive news, which is cravings don't last forever. That craving that you get when you see food happens as a tidal wave. It'll come and it'll go. So if you are able to just bear through that for 20 to 30 minutes, you'll find that for the next few hours, you don't get craving. And in fact, the more times you overcome that feeling, the easier it gets, which is why fasting is always hardest when you start. But somebody who has done even one successful fast previously at any time in their life, they will be so much more comfortable and confident in doing another fast. And with that, we have come to the end of the video and it is time for the giveaway question. What are the 3 different types of fasting that I mentioned earlier in the video? If you know the answer, put it down in the comments below and you can win an exciting BigBasket voucher. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and let me know what other topics you would like me to cover. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone, take care and happy Navratri. Cheers.